believe we're recording. So my name's Nicola. I'm one of the co-founders of Flourish Together, and we're just recording our Time to Grow Social Enterprise Discovery Day for our new programme in North Manchester. I would ask if people can, there we go, brilliant. So today's session really is an introduction to, I guess, who we are, what we do, and giving chance for people in the local area to start to connect ahead of the programme gets going. And this first part of the morning, we're going to be looking at what is social enterprise, why do people do this, and start to think about, you know, what inspires and motivates people to go to these great lengths. But before we get into what is social enterprise and how do people create social change, I'm going to just do a little bit of a recap on what this is all about. So we've basically been backed by Manchester City Council, NatWest, and some other supporters to run this programme. We've already run two already. So we started one in across Manchester last year, where we supported over 30 women through that programme, and even in spite of lockdown, the majority of those stuck with it. We found a way to work virtually and physically eventually again, and over 12 of the women that we worked with on that first programme got into either paid work or started earning through that period. There were at least 4 that went on to further education, higher education, and over 50% of the group are currently developing some sort of social venture. So there was a lot that was achieved through that. So no pressure, but we're certainly looking forward to getting started in North Manchester. This one is a little bit different in a way, because we're really trying to think about how we can impact the North Manchester area. So whilst, you know, over half of the people coming onto this programme either live or are based in North Manchester, there are a number of people beyond North Manchester, because we've got other wider funding to enable that to happen. So we're hoping that with a group of 30 or so women that we support over the next 6 months or more, we'll be collectively supporting you to develop yourselves, explore possibilities for how you might create social change for the better in your locality, and how collectively we impact North Manchester as well. And just some of you have come across this because you've been to information sessions already, but this is just a reminder that who might we be looking for, and that there's no right or wrong starting point for this programme. So there are some people coming on here, as you'll hear later on, that are already developing or scaling social enterprises. There are some people who've been on either programmes of ours before, or who we've known for a few years, and they are coming to make the most of the enterprise support through this. And then we've got people who've perhaps done an awful lot of volunteering over the years. You know, they've really given back, or for whatever reason, work or certain, you know, jobs haven't been relevant for them or right for them. So they've really focused their efforts in volunteering, and then they've now looking at a point of, you know, how can they create some security, and how can they make this work in a way that's going to give them some economic, you know, independence. So there's people from that side of the spectrum that, you know, given the current climate, or just given generally, lots of people, you know, take career breaks at different times, and we've got people who might be thinking about what they might want to do next after that kind of career break, or juggling family life, or, you know, unfortunately through the pandemic, through being furloughed, or you know, having work stopped for any reason, and you know, there are all the while there are plenty of us who are underemployed, or who aren't happy in our jobs, who have got these great ideas, passion projects, or want to be our own boss, or want to lead some sort of change. And you know, our programs are a great space to help people think through their options, think through what they want to be doing for the future, and think through how they can make a difference personally and professionally as well. what to expect. Most of you have come across this through conversations we've had, things you've read, or sessions you might have been to. But sorry, I'm looking at my phone here because there's somebody in the waiting room, or they say they're in the waiting room. So hopefully Joe's letting whoever's there in. I'm just going. Yeah, I'll sort that later. So this, as you'll have read, yeah.
Okay. May I just come in a second?
Yeah.
I did drop it on chat. I'm unsure if I can let people into the waiting room if I'm not the co-host.
Oh, okay.
Make the co-host, please. And then there's just a couple of technical problems people are having. I think Luella has said that she can't hear us.
Okay.
So she was going to go out and come back in.
That's fine.
She's not made it back in yet.
Let's do it.
And then Carol said she can't detect the camera. So
we've just admitted another little bundle of people, so
right.
They should be on their way in here. So sorry for the delay on a few people coming through there. Can I just ask anyone who's come in who's not on mute to just pop themselves on mute for now, because we're getting some background noise. I've just made Joe co-host. I'm just going to, like I say, if I can ask anybody to mute who's not already mute, if that's all right, because somebody's making a little bit of background noise there. I think we're all on mute. Fab. We'll definitely come off mute later for chats and for whatever else. Brilliant. Good to see people. For anyone who's just arrived or just come through, you've not missed much. We were just doing a quick recap because we knew that people would, either be joining a little bit late, or there's always that slow start to getting people in. So hopefully people are through. I'm sure Joe and some of the others will help try and guide people if they're struggling with hearing or through getting their videos working if they want to. Usually, depending on whether you're on a laptop or whether you're on a mobile, you've got either a little video icon, it's like a little mini camera, or a mic icon that you would click on to come on or off video or microphone. If for some reason you can't hear us, it might be to do with the volume on your phone or the connection that you have. So if you've been struggling for a little while and you can't physically hear us, even though your mic's on or your video's on, it might be something to do with your device. So it might be that you might need to swap from a laptop to a phone if you've got that option. Hope that helps in terms of giving people some tips on how to be able to fully hear what's going on. So for, welcome to anyone who's just arrived in the last 5 minutes or so, and apologies for the delay in letting a few people in. I think we're set up with Joe as co-host to let people in now, and slap my wrist, not made her a co-host. So there we go. So we've just been doing a quick recap that most of you have seen before around, what is this program all about and who we're looking for. Most of you know that the whole program here is put together to help people meet like-minded, women who are trying to create social change for the better, whilst look at their own sort of personal and professional development. This program is a combination of kind of group sessions and one-to-one supports, through our networks, through mine, through Joe's, and through other people we work with. We've got a really wide network to connect people to, both in North Manchester, across the wider Manchester, Greater Manchester area, and the Northwest, and globally. So whatever you need, we'll do our best to open our black books and our networks to help progress whatever it is you're trying to do. We've got a range of kind of workshops and sessions, and there's a mentorathon that will explain more. But ultimately, we're trying to make a difference in our communities, and also together in and around North Manchester. Just hopefully people are getting in. So I just wanted to recap a bit of a timeline revision for anyone that's not seen this. So some people have kind of come across this recently and perhaps not picked up on the full extent of the programme. Most people have tried to send this kind of Word document outline of what we've got planned. Through lockdown and through the pandemic, we're having to adapt as we go, but we're very used to that. We've run 2 of these programs already, and we've had to adapt what we do as we go based on what tier we're in this week and all of that sort of thing. So today really kicks off a bit of a taster day for people. We officially start support on the programme at the beginning of February. And what we've decided, because a lot of people are homeschooling and frankly we've all had to get our heads around being cooped up again, we've decided to push the programme days back to the beginning of March. So we're going to be starting the one-to-one coaching sessions from February. So Joe, myself and possibly one other enterprise coach will be assigned to the people that come on the programme, and we'll start with that one-to-one support, really getting to know who you are, what you wanted to get from the programme, and how we can best support you. And then the sessions, the enterprise support programme element will start at the 3rd of March. Towards the end of the programme, which is now a bit longer than we originally planned. So initially it was going to be sort of February to April, and it was quite intensive. We've looked at the calendars, we've looked at the way school holidays fall and all of that sort of thing, and we're actually getting more for your, more for your money. The council are getting more for their money, and you're getting more support time from us, because we're running this programme through to June now. We were conscious we wanted to finish it sort of within the sort of before the summer holidays and that sort of thing. So it gives you a chance for further support, a little bit longer to start to develop what it is you're doing, because Rome wasn't built in a day, and it certainly wasn't built through a pandemic, I don't think. So we've got to just take this as it comes and support people flexibly, which is how we work. And even in June, or towards the end of the programme, it doesn't fall off a cliff. There's lots of other ways to get in touch with Flourish, to be supported and think about how we can continue to make a difference and support one another throughout 2021. So hopefully that's a quick recap on the what to expect. And as I say, do get your expression of interest form back to us if you can, if you haven't done already, by the end of January, just so that we can get that started. There is a good chance that if you've applied, that we'll be offering you a place. Numbers wise at the moment, we're looking okay, and we're looking for in the region of sort of 20 to 30 women, and we've got about 24 application forms at the moment, so we're all right, and we're hoping to be able to offer a place to everybody who replies by the end of January. Just so you know, there will be one more form that comes out. So after today's event, I'll be emailing people, letting them know that they're on the programme if they still want to do that. And there is what we call an enrolment form. It just gathers a little bit of information so that we've got your address if we need to post things out, and so that from the different ways that this programme is getting funded, we can respond to our sort of funder requirements. So we'll send that out before the end of the month. Any questions at this stage, Joe? Just before I go into the next bit of the workshop. As I say, you're a bit of a captive audience for that first bit, but as we go forward, we will be getting you involved in some of what we're doing. I just wanted to give a recap on what the programme was about, and then let people filter in. So hopefully everybody's in who should be in.
Thanks, Heather. Can I just check a couple of people's technical issues? Louise and Clark, can you hear us now? Great. There's a wave there. Thank you, Fab. Everybody else, is everybody else okay? Can you all hear? Yeah, and see or yeah. Okay, great stuff. Thank you. Just sort of check in there.
Great, that's good. I think this might still be Chinar who's still struggling. I've just had a text, but if the speakers are working, you still can't hear. I honestly don't know, other than joining from a different device is the only way I can think around that at the moment. But we're all having to become phone and computer experts these days, aren't we? And most of us aren't, truth be told. So
well, we've got,
you're all right.
We've got Claire Worthington on the call, who's who knows this stuff. So she is doing some
Thank
coaching
you.
in the chat. So thank you.
Thank you. That is lucky, isn't it? You see, we can take over the world with the skills we've got in this group, I'm sure. So I shall carry on. So basically, for the next up until the break, we're going to be trying to look at, you know, a bit around, you know, what is social enterprise, and you know, how do we create social change? Who does this stuff? You know, what are their attributes and characteristics? You know, and you know, thinking about the support needs that people have. And so, oh, let me just try it again. So, after, you know, obviously we're going to have a think around the sort of the theory of this a little bit, and we'll be inviting you, you know, you either in the chat or verbally to come on and say bits and pieces that, oh, somebody's joined us, not on mute again. Can I ask everybody to mute, or if Joe can mute people who aren't on mute, just with the background noise? Okay. I can't see who it is. Might be what. Let's try that. No. Sorry, Joe. Do you mind scrolling down and seeing who needs to go on mute if they've not realised?
No,
using internet audio. No, that's not him either. I don't know. Oh, there we go. You all right? I'm just.
Shana, could you please mute your microphone, please? Thank you.
Great, I think we're good. Mute. There we go, done. So back to where we were. So after we've looked at sort of the theory bit, you know, we're then going to meet some live ones. I mean, some of you who are coming in the programme, you know, are definitely already social entrepreneurs running various things, but we've got a great panel to share a little bit on their journey into social enterprise, what it is they're doing, and a bit around their sort of interests in the North Manchester area. So we're looking forward to that just after the break as well. So, you know, you know, I put this slide up just as a bit of an inspiration piece, really, and a bit of a talking point. You know, who sets these things up? Anybody and everybody sets up social enterprises. People from all walks of life set these things up, and for all sorts of reasons in all sorts of sectors, as we'll come to see. I was just going to, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I was just going to go through some of these to give a feel of, you know, who we've supported, who we know are running these things, and, the, you know, to show the diversity and the variety of what people try and achieve with their social ventures. You know, when we talk about social enterprise and social change, you know, whilst there are different ways to go about it, and there are different types of organisations, companies, groups that people can form, and we talk through all of that in the programme. You know, there's always more than one way to go about this, and we aren't prescriptive in how people do this stuff. So whether somebody's just working on their own as a volunteer right now, or whether they've having to operate as a sole trader because they're trading and they have to do that, or whether you formed a group or you formed some sort of entity as a company or whatever else to operate, you know, there's various ways to do this stuff, and you know, these groups are up to all sorts. So, you know, people are doing all sorts from Dance Syndrome, who are an organisation that have been going for a long time, and they do all sorts. So they're all about supporting people and raising awareness, the fact that, you know, able-bodied and less able-bodied people with various disabilities should have access to the same opportunities as anybody else. And they run an amazing dance and kind of performing arts organisation in the Northwest. And alongside doing all sorts of groups and dance programmes, they also do all sorts of equality and diversity training as well, amongst various other things. Some of you on the call will know Halle here, who runs an organisation called MetMunch. She's come to this from an academic point of view, and she, you know, she's a senior lecturer in nutrition, but she's, you know, somewhat stifled purely in academia, I would say, for its meta. And she's set up a couple of social enterprises now that are all about bringing the curriculum to life, helping people with an interest in food and nutrition, do more and learn more. And they've actually set up their own cafe that's had to close through lockdown, but a vegan cafe in Manchester Met University. So there's people like her in our network doing all sorts of things and working in all sorts of ways. We've got a lump of soap here. This is an organisation called Soap Futures, and a lady called Beth, who has worked with various communities and supporting women in particular to come together, improve their English skills, learn how to make soaps and other stuff, and sell those. So the organisation makes a profit through training courses, selling soaps and other beauty products, but the community benefits are, environmentally and ethically produced soaps and things, and supporting people from diverse cultural backgrounds to come together, connect, and unlock their talents. A couple of others in here, and I will come to a few of you out there to just say a little bit about what you do if you're running something currently. But I was going to mention this lady over here with the glasses on. I don't know if anyone's ever met Taslima. Taslima has just won Woman of the Year in Social Enterprise this year through the She Inspires Awards. She runs an organisation called CDM UK, Creative Design Manufacture. They're based over in Ardwick, and they've got this amazing, they've taken over the floor of a mill. It's like a cornucopia of sort of textiles. She's a fashion designer. She studied fashion design and does that in her own right, but very passionate about the community, very passionate about helping people who've perhaps been held back in life. Taslima, makes no bones about the fact that, she's autistic, she's dyspraxic, she's got various sort of barriers in theory around, her routes to progress, but she's running her own company. She's set up a social enterprise, and they run all sorts of classes, courses and programs to help people learn skills in creative arts, textiles, and producing different kinds of products. So she's another fascinating example. I was just going to, last but not least, pick on our friend Rose Marley here. We had hoped that Rose might join our panel, but she's just become Chief Executive of Cooperatives UK. I remember meeting Rose nearly 20 years ago, very grumpy. She'd just been rejected from an unlimited award that she'd applied for, and she was ready to tear my head off. So that was my first meeting with Rose, which she knows and she laughs about now. But we know Rose well. We've supported her over the years to set up a couple of social enterprises, and one of the ones in North Manchester people know about is Sharp Futures, which is a great organisation that is in the old Sharp building, sort of in between sort of central Manchester and Newton Heath. And Sharp Futures is all about helping young people get access to better jobs, basically. So rather than expect young people or anyone else to be looking at low-paid jobs, factory work and minimum wage stuff, she's been very passionate about making sure that young people have access to great jobs in the creative industry sector, and learning how to freelance and learning how to be earning 20, 30, 50 pounds an hour rather than minimum wage. And out of the Sharp project there that her and a team helped set up, Sharp Futures is a social enterprise in there that really does transform lives and get people into great careers of all ages. So I just whet your appetite with a flavour of a few there. I just wonder whether anybody wanted to come off mic and just say anything about a social enterprise that you might be running, to sort of give a different example than the ones I've just given. Anybody feel brave? I know we've got Amelia from Collaborant on. I don't know if I can pick on Amelia, whether Amelia's about.
Hi, yeah.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm good. I thought, oh, you're running one. So do you want to just say a bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, and hello everyone. So basically I met Joe and Nicola, I think it's like 2 years ago now, and I set up a modelling agency based in Manchester when I graduated from a fashion design course at Salford. And basically the whole vision and purpose of Collab Models is to create an agency that creates affordability for students. So similar to what you're talking about, Rose Marley, is that her name?
Yeah.
We just find as a student, as a graduate, you don't necessarily have the money or income to be able to go to these modelling agencies that you're expected to hire, and you could be charged about £200 for a model. So it's just creating affordability and opportunities for young creatives, and also creating more diversity in fashion. So the whole mission statement is just to create a positive change in fashion. So you're seeing more people who are not photoshopped, they have their bits and lumps and bumps out, and basically just creating a social platform and diversity in fashion, really.
Perfect, thank you. It was I'm conscious that it'd be good to pick on a few, because although we can't hear from everybody in this first bit, we'll certainly pick on a few if we may. I saw Michaela had joined the call. I don't know if it's convenient to come off and just say hello and say what you're up to, Michaela. But Michaela's developing an organisation based on lived experience of a particular health condition. Are you about?
Oh, yeah, can you hear me, guys?
I can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. The headphones still work then. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to actually speak to adults. I hope you're all doing okay. Sorry, I'm keeping off camera because you'll probably have a 6-year-old jump in any second. Basically, I went to university to do a biology degree, and I'm now doing a master's in science communication and future media. And the reason I've done all this is because I want to set up a social enterprise for a condition I have that's hardly known about but very common. It's called hidradenitis suppurativa. We call it HS for short, and it affects people all over the world, from children to adults, regardless of where you come from and who you are. Very painful, very difficult to treat. There's hardly any effective treatments, there's no cure, and it's really misunderstood. So there's a very, very dire need for this. There's a lot of people out there that don't know what this is, and they're living a dreadful life. So basically everything I've done on my master's has been about this. I've took it, I have a page on Facebook called HS Action Together. I've not really been active this year with the whole COVID thing going on.
Well, you've had a lot going on yourself there, but I was going to say, Michaela, by all means, put the link to that in the chat in case anybody wants to know a little bit more. And we're just really glad to have you joining our programme. And Michaela's a good example of where, sometimes timing is everything. We've been trying to get Michaela on one of our programmes for a good year now, and as luck would have it, Michaela is from North Manchester, so this programme's hopefully going to be perfect timing. Yes. And perfectly located for what you're trying to do. And we're certainly looking forward to helping you sort of shape your idea further into getting your organisational structures in place, and helping you start to apply for funding and other things, and look at what your products and services are going to be, because I know you've done a lot of thinking around that. So awesome. I might invite someone else, maybe one or two more people on, just to pop in and say a little bit of a hello and what they do. So I'm going to, who else could we pick on? Any thoughts, Joe? You can probably see more people than me. Claire, I know Claire Worthington you've said is about. I wonder if we might pick on Claire, just to come and say a hello. And you've been developing bits and pieces for a while now.
Hiya. Yeah, I tend to, I've kind of met you in lots of different places, because the thing with doing things with like a social or a community background is the same people pop up with more than one hat on. So I think in the past I might have met you because I run a small charity that supports families who've got children with ADHD. But when I'm not banging on about ADHD, I'm banging on about digital exclusion. So my day job is I run a small business and I build websites, usually for small businesses or small community groups. That's kind of what I do. I do things with a laptop all day, every day. So one of the things I did with my business is I registered to be something called an online centre. So the Online Centres Network delivers free training to anybody who wants to learn how to get online. So if you don't know how to use a mouse, if you're not sure how to work a tablet, or if you can already use a computer but you don't know how to use Microsoft Excel, for example, I'm one of the people who can give you free training to do that. And there's people up and down the country that do it. But ideally, what I wanted to turn it into is, instead of me as a very small business popping up here and there, offering people training and just sort of trying to squeeze it into everything else. I wanted to kind of combine the two so that I could have an actual physical space where I can run digital training, but also if we've got people who want to get into the tech industry, for example, who might want to do work experience or learn a bit more about things. Well, at the moment, I work in my back bedroom with the really bad lighting, which is why I look like a silhouette. So if you're working in a very small bedroom, you can't really have somebody on an internship and sort of, yeah, sure, just come round to my house, just mind the dog, up 2 flights to step. Yeah, that does not work. So ideally, I'm looking to combine the two so that I can create a physical space that I can still do things online, but I think it gives me more options. So my main reason for being here is to be able to make sure I do that right, because I've been self-employed for a long time. Sometimes I've done things the right way. Sometimes I've done things the stupid, pointless way. And you can't do that if you want to scale up and become a proper grown-up enterprise that lasts forever, rather than just Claire doing what she does. And if it all goes wrong, it only affects her. I've forgotten what the question was.
No, I mean, it's good. Well, there wasn't, it's just really to find out a little bit more about you, and to just, we were just showcasing a few other women who, as much as I can put up pretty pictures of people who've been running these things a long time, or who we know are running certain diverse and different ventures, it's just been good to hear from a few people on the call as well, to show, you know, whether you're at the idea stage or whether you're just thinking, I don't know what I want to do, but I need to be around some people that inspire me, or whether like Claire, you've been running something for a little while and you're wanting to kind of refine the way you do it, improve the way you do it, and get it more ready for scale. The support that we're offering through the programme should hopefully be able to help any or all of the women in that position. So just conscious of time, and I've got a little bit more I was going to say before we go into our break. I'm going to sort of pause our you know, feedback from different people. By all means, put in the chat if you're running something now and you want to share a little bit about that in the chat, or you want to share whatever, a website, or the fact that you're on Twitter or Instagram or whatever else, and connect with people to let them know what you're up to. Pop it in the chat and people will be able to have a look at that and have a nosy at what it is you do. And in the afternoon, well, not say afternoon, in the afternoon breakouts, we will be looking at that as well, and we will be giving you a chance to connect more physically with one another. So on we go. So if I just get back on my little thing here. So what I would say is, you know, we've heard from some people, you know, in the group here who are starting to run things or been running things a while, and I've talked about a few examples here. But you know, one of the things is, you know, what are the characteristics and behaviours of the people who run these things, and you know, what makes them tick. And this next slide here, normally I'd be getting you to think about this in your own groups and in your own way, or often we get people to draw out, you know, what does a perfect social entrepreneur, or what does a perfect change maker look like. And you know, often what we hear when we do that are these sorts of things. So, you know, people tend to be, you know, compassionate, they're taking risks, they might have a particularly strong vision or passion to want to do something. They're quite resilient people, willing to make sacrifices. They're quite solutions focused because they're, you know, they're trying to make things happen. They're often very resourceful, you know. And if you don't feel like this, or you haven't got all these skills and attributes yet, don't worry. You know, everybody's different in the way they do what they do, but these are some common attributes and some common characteristics for people that, you know, lead social change in different ways. And you know, some of these characteristics are not that different to any other entrepreneur. You know, the likes of, I don't know, Richard Branson, or you know, various entrepreneurs that get bandied about have some of these attributes. But you know, we do find that social entrepreneurs tend to you know, be more altruistic in what it is they're trying to do, with a more not for private profit sort of mantra. You know, they want to earn a good living, they want to be able to, you know, have a nice sort of lifestyle where they can afford that, and they want to, you know, be economically independent, but they're keen to see that the wider community benefits as well from what they do. There are various kinds of people that run things as well. There are different terms that get used, and we on the programme we try not to get too bogged down in the language or the terms, because it can put people off. But you know, social enterprises, community businesses, you know, creative and cultural enterprises, you know, all sort of tie themselves up in this world. Voluntary and community organisations, sometimes they're called VCSE organisations, you know, charities and other community groups. You know, people set up all sorts of things when they've got these characteristics and these ideas, and start to develop networks around them that can make their ideas turn into reality. And there's different camps, you know, that come into this world as well. There are people who, you know, are a bit of a lone wolf and sort of set this thing up and are very protective of their idea, or, you know, haven't built trusted networks yet, or just they know they need to just develop this idea on their own for a while to be able to explain what it is and to know that it works and to trust themselves to be able to run it. And then there are other people who set these things up in a very sort of democratic and sort of community-led way from the start. And, you know, so sometimes there are people who take a more sort of independent and smaller group of people setting up a social enterprise, and sometimes it's much more you know, a broad church in terms of who runs it, and those tend to be called community enterprises, where the wider community in a particular area, rather than a topic or a theme like health and well-being or criminal justice or the environment, but, you know, where people are really trying to regenerate an area through their organisation or their ideas, will sometimes set up a community enterprise. They're all part of the same family of types of business, but in a community enterprise you tend to find, you know, it's about local leadership. It might be about more localized community connection. There might be arts, culture and sort of heritage interests in trying to preserve and regenerate particular buildings or areas, and there's different kinds of sort of creative and innovative ways that they're trying to bolster their community. And I would say we've probably got people coming on this programme from all different camps. Some people have got more charitable ideas that are going to need a real volunteer-led model. Some people are trying to regenerate communities, like I just described in that community enterprise world, and others have either just maybe face setbacks and adversity in their own life and they think they could do a better job of it, and they're developing a project, a campaign or a business, you know, like a profit for purpose business or a social enterprise that will try and create themselves a good living whilst give back to their community as well. So there's no one size fits all. There's a whole bundle of characteristics and attributes that people have when they set these things up. There was that question earlier on, you know, are you born with this stuff, or are you made? And that's probably something we'll revisit through the programme when we start to help you look at your own sort of attributes and skills and how you want to develop yourself. And, you know, some of this stuff's kind of inbuilt and innate, but most of it, from our experience, is made and can be made, you know, and anybody and everybody can be supported to test and trial and grow what it is they want to try and do. You know, it's not always for the faint-hearted and certainly through a pandemic it's not straightforward, but we're certainly here to help people develop what it is they're trying to do. I'm going to talk for a second in a minute on, you know, the state of the sector and what's the significance of social enterprise, but I thought I'd just check there, Joe, whether there's any key questions or any points or comments before I go into what is, you know, what's happening in the social enterprise world in the UK.
I think everyone's just taking the opportunity to introduce themselves on the chat. So a lot of people have introduced what ideas they're working on, and they've given sort of pointers to websites and Instagram accounts. So yeah, really good ideas and businesses that people are either starting to run or have been running for a little while. So yeah, brilliant. Amazing. Amazing.
Good. Well, that's it. I've had the luxury of seeing people's forums, and I've been talking to everybody. Jo's been busy with other things, so she's not got a full sense of everybody who's coming on the programme yet. So that's why days like today are really important, so that you guys can start to see your peer group really as to who's come on board, and we can get to start to get to know you and what you do and how we might be able to best support you. So good. So what is it you might be
Also
getting? Oh, sorry, Jo, go on.
So just a suggestion from Phyllis, which is around whether we could pull together a bit of a Word document on what everyone's up to and contact details, which I thought was a good one. We can certainly do that.
Yeah, we'll check with people when we start the programme if they're happy to share all of that. And absolutely, there's various ways that we help people connect. Once the programme officially starts, there's a session looking at how you want to connect, how you want to stay in touch, and how you might want to communicate between sessions as well. So we'll certainly make sure we start some of that. So I was just going to say, what is it you might be letting yourself in for here? What's the significance of what it is that we do? So some of you may have been surveyed to death in recent years on this sort of thing, but there are various organisations that seek to understand the social enterprise sector and seek to better support it. The Treasury are interested. Social Enterprise UK are kind of the national sort of body that seeks to support or at least map and raise awareness of social enterprise. And here in Greater Manchester, there are a wealth of councils of voluntary services, other infrastructure organisations like GMCVO and 10GM, and various organisations and consultants that support all of this. But in a nutshell, nationally, it's quite a significant set of the economy now. In the region of a fifth of UK businesses are classed as social enterprises, employing over 2 million people and turning over 120 billion. So there's a lot going on across the voluntary community and social enterprise sector. That figure, the VCSE organisations, includes charities, smaller groups, and social, the broad spectrum of what people do. But Social Enterprise UK have mapped now that there are over 100,000 social enterprises. There might be community interest companies, there might be companies limited by guarantee, there might be cooperatives, whoever's filled in those surveys and that they send out and has registered in certain ways has been picked up and mapped, and they're currently contributing in the region of about 60 billion to the economy, and again employing a significant number of people. Interestingly, in that Hidden Revolution report that those details come from, and I've got it here because I wanted to just highlight something some of you will already know. The reason, I'm speaking for Jo as well here, so forgive me if you disagree, but the reason we got into working in social enterprise is because it's such a diverse space to be, and it's a place where there's a lot of more scope for women to lead and to be in more senior leadership and management roles potentially, and have the flexibility to work in certain ways and make certain decisions and create change in certain ways. And what the Social Enterprise UK Hidden Revolution report has found, is that 41% of social enterprises are led by women, and 89% of social enterprises have women on their leadership teams, which is much, much higher than in the private sector. Also, just over a third of social enterprises, have Black, Asian and other minority ethnic groups on their boards and steering those organisations. And I think it's somewhere, I'm just reading across my stats here, but there's also a higher proportion of people with it. 36% of social enterprises have a director with a disability. So it's just a space where more innovative and more diverse things and opportunities are created. And so that's why we kind of fly the flag for it, if you will, not least on gender equality, but in other ways that more diverse groups of people can lead the change they see needed. There's plenty of stats and things out there. I'm not going to labour too much over this, but there's all sorts of different ways that people are using social enterprises to create change, be it in different, helping their local economies become more resilient, whether it's about creating opportunities in tough times. Interestingly, this was done back in 2017, this set of figures, and here we are in 2020, and the language and the impact, is all relevant now in terms of what people are trying to do. Anyway, that just gives you a bit of a state of the sector. I was just, we will debate this as the programme rolls on. I was just flagging this up, that there are some differences between private businesses and social enterprises, and we've started to sum them up here, and we'll explore this as the months roll on. But usually social enterprises can sometimes have slightly different values, vision, and legacy. So there's slightly different values as to why they're operating and what they're operating for, and the legacy that they want to leave beyond setting up their business, making a profit, creating certain products and services. The impact and the legacy they want to leave is often a little bit more visionary or a little bit more long lasting than certain other businesses at the point of inception of the idea of the business. The kinds of impacts that they create, the intention to create impact in certain ways, and the way it gets measured and captured and communicated can be different in social enterprises. And certainly the way social enterprises and charities and other groups get funded and supported, their measuring impact becomes more relevant and important, both for the funds, investors, and for the way you kind of market and communicate what you do. The way that social enterprise and charities generate their income can be quite different to private sector businesses, and we'll be exploring all of that through sessions later on in the programme. Often the way their sort of organisational models work and the way they recruit staff, how they might target certain groups of people, or how they might combine different kinds of staffing and volunteer models can be quite different to the private sector. Often, but not always, but usually the social enterprises will have more sort of social environmental awareness, usually because they've set up for social purpose and or environmental purpose. So that's how I pop that in there. I mean, certainly lots of private sector businesses and corporates are coming up the rear. There's been this thing called corporate social responsibility for some time, but that's quite different to what social enterprises and voluntary community sector are about. And in the current climate, there are lots of people realizing that social and community businesses have been a lot of the businesses that have stayed open, that have continued in spite of the pandemic, and that have found ways to operate, or have had to because their communities can't afford for them not to. And they've been ready and able to just step up because it's what they do. Often, but not always, social enterprises have their what they call this asset lock, certainly in community interest companies that they do. That means that the assets remain for the benefit of the community, which is all part of that legacy building. It's not a given, it doesn't have to be that way, but certain social enterprises want to see that, so they build that into their businesses. And in almost all cases, the surplus profits get reinvested for community benefit, which is not unlike some SMEs. A lot of small family businesses and SMEs, although they're not social enterprises, aren't making a huge profit, and some are more community focused than others. But within a social enterprise, that's built in and there from the outset. Something else to think about is that social enterprises and charities can often be more ready and willing to have social and ethical supply chains. It's something that the corporate world and the private world and the public sector talk about, improving their supply chains, to create more impact and to give social and ethical businesses more of a chance in the way they purchase their products and services. But in the voluntary community sector, there are instant networks and instant links and instant allegiances that can be built to enable more social enterprises and social and ethical businesses to flourish if you automatically are buying and are choosing to buy from social and ethical organisations. And it's down to personal choice, down to quality of products and services, and down to cost ultimately, but often social enterprises will be choosing to purchase more from social ethical businesses. You know, and I wonder, can you think of any others? You know, something for us to come back to, you know, through the programme, as we're nearly at our break. This was just, you know, if you're sitting here thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I fit into this, or I'm not sure if what I'm doing is this, or will work in this space, I've just sort of flagged up here, you know, call us evangelists on this. We are a little bit, but I think it's knowing that social entrepreneurship and social enterprise is a way of running your business. And so there are very few businesses that couldn't be a social enterprise. You know, I could make some crude jokes on that, but I won't. But I think this slide here just highlights the range. I can think of numerous social enterprises that sit with any of these camps. And so if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I'm not sure, I run a digital business, was this what I'm doing, or I'm doing things in, you know, in such and such a way, or I want to set up a food company, or whatever it is, there's a good chance that if you've got an idea for something that you want to develop and there's going to be social and community benefit from it, often it's the business model that makes it sustainable, and the sector that you're in, that makes the impact happen. So I just flag that up there. You can probably think of others, but it's just a reminder that it's a very diverse world in social enterprise, and it's the way you run your business, it's what you do with your profits, and it's you know, how you market, communicate yourself, and the legacy that you want to create that makes a difference. We're nearly on the homeward stretch now. So I'm conscious a couple of our speakers for the panel have just arrived, so I'm just saying a quick hello if you've just joined us. We're just wrapping up on our the final slides of our session before we go into a short 10-minute break, and we'll be starting our panel about 10 past. But this slide here, I won't labour too much because we'll get into some of this on the programme, but it's just highlighting some of the differences between the way community enterprises work, social enterprises work, creative enterprises work. And there's no hard and fast rules particularly, but it's just giving you a sense of, you know, some ideas and ventures are more based in place and are about the community. Some are more sector specific, or are more about having people with ideas lead the change that they see needed. And there are a lot of creative enterprises, not all, but there are a lot of creative enterprises and creative entrepreneurs that work within the social enterprise space. And we've just given some examples of kind of allies and areas where additional support that we can connect you to exists as you grow and evolve what it is you're doing. Quick recap that, you know, through the Time to Grow programme, you know, we're going to be helping people look at all sorts of types of support. So as mentioned, you know, there's personal and professional development through the programme, you know, through self-reflection, through helping you better understand your values, skills and experience, and really trying to help you, you know, stay motivated, think about your level of ambition in all of this. And, you know, there's lots of people who want to keep things, you know, contained, keep things small and manageable, and there are others who, you know, want to take over the world. And, you know, we can support people at either end of the spectrum. And a big part of the way we work with the women in our network is just thinking about sort of, you know, wider family commitments and constraints, because that can play a factor in things. There is a chunk of what we do that's around enterprise skills development. So as much as we're about looking at you and what makes you tick and how you're going to overcome whatever barriers or seek out certain opportunities to make this work, we're also looking at how we build your business and enterprise skills and acumen and networks to make you know, the ideas that you have come to fruition, or to help them scale if you're at that stage. It's a given that, you know, a new support network will form for you, whether that's a friendship network, whether that's peer-to-peer support, or whether that's plugging you into other local, regional, national or global agencies. We've got, as I say, the black books to help you do that. And a chunk of what we're offering is coaching and mentoring support. So Joe and myself will be providing that one-to-one coaching support for people. And in June, we have this mentorathon, as it's called, we'll tell you more about that again, but it's basically an opportunity towards the end of the programme where you get to broaden your networks, share your ideas with a broader range of women change makers and people supporting social entrepreneurs to troubleshoot challenges, access networks and other contacts, and get feedback or get new ideas on where you're trying to overcome certain barriers. So that's something we'll invite you to get involved with later on in the programme. So hopefully that's been a good whistle stop of what, who gets involved in this stuff and what is it about. Something to take away as we go into the break, and to think about when Jo and I, start ringing people for their one-to-one conversations, and when we start to get the programme moving at the beginning of March and bringing people back together as groups, we're really keen to help you think about, what you want to get from the programme, what support you might need to fully take part. It's hard when we're living through this pandemic and everything's changed and our priorities are somewhat shifting constantly, but there's still that innate thing in us in, what is the difference that we want to make with whatever it is we're trying to achieve. And what do you want to see changed, in your own life or within your ideas or business? What do you want to see changed 12 months from now or 2 years from now? Because if we know that, then we've something to work towards and help you think about how you get there. But inevitably, nothing's ever straightforward, and recognizing, accepting, or being aware of, what might your biggest barriers be to enabling this progress. And again, if we know what we can see, if we know what we think are our barriers, we've got a better chance of finding ways to work around those. So I will leave that set of questions with you. We're not going to ask you to share those or answer that right now. This is just something for you to start to focus on you over the next month. And Jo and I will be in touch with people on the programme to start to unpack some of this ahead of coming back as a group, just to support one another and to think about, how we make the most of the next 6 months or more, and really help you sort of make progress in spite of pandemics and everything else, to see where we get to over the coming year. And we're really excited to see what happens. So I am going to stop prattling on there, other than to say, if you're chomping at the bit for stuff now, which I know some people are, there are a couple of tools and resources. I will share these in the chat. We've got a lot of podcasts we've produced on different themes that are there for you to listen to now. If there's particular topics or there's things that you want to kind of explore now, you're very welcome to do that over the next month and more before the programme starts and while it's running. We also run all sorts of other wider events, and there's no obligation. You don't have to come to these, but you may want to. And any of you are welcome to come to an event we've got on the 12th of February, which is like a holistic wellbeing afternoon. And there's various other things. I will share this in the chat and we'll flag it up at the end of the event, but I don't want to eat into the break. And I was just going to let you know that in we'll still take 10 minutes because we've got time. Have a stretch, check on the kids, whatever you need to do, make a cup of tea, and we look forward to Jo chairing a bit of a Q&A and conversation with our inspirational women who are joining us to tell us a bit about what they do and why. So hope that's been of interest. A bit of a monologue as usual from me, but looking forward to hearing from our panel and getting into groups after that to explore where we're all at and what we want to achieve. So have a breather. I'll just say, Jo, any questions or any points before we take a quick break?
No questions from me.
Anything
just thanks for everyone on the chat. I think everyone has been hang on a minute. Yeah, we have got a couple of questions. Silly me. Somebody, Noelle is saying that she's taking notes, but could these be emailed? We can certainly email.
Oh, you get the slides, yeah.
The slides, and we're obviously recording this as well. So any chance we could email those events as well?
Definitely, you'll be, yeah.
We'll do that in the follow-up email.
You'll be sick to death of emails from me within the next few months.
Yeah, you can also choose to follow Flourish Together CIC on Eventbrite, and then you'll get told events in real time as well.
Well, I hope everybody managed to get a brew and have a bit of a break. There's another minute to go yet, but for anyone who's there and like tapping their fingers on the desk, we'll be starting back soon. I was also, before Jo gets into her panel discussion, I don't know if Christine Hulse is there. I'm conscious she's taken the time to, I think, join us by phone. I could be mistaken, but I'd gladly have Christine say hello and
hi Nick,
hi there.
I am here.
Good. I thought that was you there. Thanks for joining us.
Sorry, I can't get into the normal Zoom. It won't let us in. So I apologise. I've not seen anything that people have been talking. I've heard. I've been on for about 30 minutes. So it's been good.
Well, it gives you a feel for sort of the slant that we've got, and I don't know if you just want to introduce yourself and say what you do and perhaps what your interest in some of this is. I know you're specific around the North Manchester area and you've got a few hats, but it'd be good to let people know about what you do, because whether they could link to what you do directly, or some of the people that they support might, by all means say a quick hello, and then Jo will come on.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do. Morning, everybody. My name's Chris Hulse. I'm the Partnership Manager for DWP, Department for Work and Pensions. I'm based at Newton Heath Job Centre. My day-to-day remit, I cover all of Manchester Local Authority area, so obviously from Cheetham in the north right the way through to Wythenshawe. And my role really acts as a bit of a conduit between our job centre networks and any partner, employer, organisation, local authority that has an interest in our customer groups. I also manage 2 teams. I manage an early help team, again, right across Manchester, and they're early help advisors working in with the hubs with the local authority, supporting families. And I manage a team of prison-based work coaches. So I'm the offender lead for Greater Manchester. So we work with vulnerable groups right across Greater Manchester, work from custody to community. And the other big lead I have is I'm the homeless lead. So again, working with people who are homeless, bed and breakfast, landlords, anybody and everybody. So just as a bit, and a lot of programme development, so working with smaller partners on the community sector, just really looking at project development, supporting customer groups, and just really being sort of a person or a contact for people where we can broker meetings or support, and a lot of also a little bit of firefighting for people. And because we work for DWP, obviously, and welfare reform, it's also making sure that people see, if there are any issues or people don't understand what the business is about, inviting people to come in and talk to us and see exactly what support we can offer you or the people who'll be using your services.
Thanks, Christine. I know Alicia, who's on the panel shortly and supporting us in different ways, introduced us, but really glad to make the connection and over the course of the coming months exploring different ways that we can either find routes to work together or, as you say, support people out in the wider community that are developing initiatives to better connect and build relationships with people like yourselves. A big part of what we try to do with Flourish, as much as it's supporting individuals, helping them think through their own plans and ideas and giving that enterprise support. When people run social enterprises or charities or community organisations, you can't underestimate the need to develop sort of strategic leadership skills or strategic links, and that's not to scare people and think, I'm not ready for that. It's just making the right connections really to make things happen and short circuit and innovate good ideas really. So so thanks so much for joining us and having a listen in.
Thanks for having me.
And I shall hand back to Jo. Just didn't want people not to realise some of the wider connections and context going on here. And Jo, are you there? I'll hand back to you, and I'll just let people know in the chat. I've just put those links to our podcasts, links to our what else was the Eventbrite, and I've also put the link to our Facebook group. There's only so many hours in the day and not everybody wants to connect with all these different things and these social media things, but where you are on Twitter, we're at Flourish CIC, and where you're on Facebook, there is a link to that group there if you want to connect with other people, where we share information on opportunities, funds. Some of the people in our network signpost and share information, and we often put things about jobs and board opportunities and whatever else. So if any of that sounds of use or interest, take a look at your leisure. Right, I'll shut up and hand over to you, Jo.
Thanks, Nicola. Hi, everyone, and thanks for everyone's contributions this morning. As Nicola said, I'm one of the co-founders of Flourish, and Nicola's been heavily involved in engaging and working in North Manchester and beyond to kind of encourage people to get involved in the programme this time. So, you know, for me, it's been quite it's been an interesting morning because it's one of the first times I've heard about some of the great ideas and enterprises that are being developed, and it's great. I'm getting very hungry looking at Carol's menus on her website. It looks fantastic. So if we do ever get together in a physical way, I think we always try and use social enterprise caterers, and so I think we might be calling on you, Carol, to provide lunch. Obviously we'll pay you for that because that's what we do. So yeah, great just to meet people, and great to see some faces that I've seen before, and great to see some new faces too. So yeah, I'll be more involved in the programme now. Basically I'll be doing the coaching, one-to-one coaching, which I did on the last programmes, and also I will be involved in some of the workshop stuff as well. So yeah, very much looking forward to sharing some of the lessons I've learned from setting up enterprises with you all in the coming weeks. So we just thought today, because it's a day where we've got a load of amazing women in a virtual room, it'd be fab to have a little bit of a panel session just to hear from some people that have been maybe involved in the programme before, some people that have set up social enterprises, some people that are thinking of doing that, and other what we call social enterprise champions, those people in other organisations that support social enterprises to get going and set up and thrive. So I thought it'd be really great if we could hear off these 4 people today. And have we got everybody on the call, Nicola? That we,
as far as I know, yeah, I think everybody's waiting. I'm double checking, but yes, I would just fire away and hope for the best.
I'm going to work, yeah, the way I'm going to work the session is I'm going to hear from each of the panel members, just going to give us a brief introduction as to who they are, what they do, how their organisation works, and a bit of a insight into their journey to date. And then we'll open it up to some Q&As where you can ask some questions of them if you like, and we'll do that, and we'll probe them a bit more around, you know, what they've learned on their journey. So if that's all right with everyone, I'm going to start with Alicia, because she's been sat there patiently. I've never known her so quiet. I'm going to unleash Alicia. He was on our Time to Go programme last year, and it's just been a brilliant support for Flourish and been a brilliant contributor to the programme, and it's great to have her back to kind of talk through her journey and what she's learned over the last 12 months. So Alicia, are you there? Saying that, she's probably dealing with kids, or let's have a look.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, morning everyone, going into afternoon. Like Jo stated, she's never heard me this quiet before, because I did learn a very good skill from Flourish, and it was kind of being mindful and, you know, listen, because I am a very talkative, energetic person. So welcome to this program, and so I'm Alicia, also known as Lady E Bling. I'm the founder of Pillar of Women, it's a new startup, with everything what happened with the crisis around the world. It kind of got stopped a little bit, had to rethink, put in different strategies. I'm still in Salford University, just finishing off my master's now and getting ready to do my PhD. When I first got introduced to Flourish, it was through I was being a researcher and shadowing Flourish to kind of be more of a critical thinker. I then implemented that into my degree, and then came, you know, with this Pillar of Women. A little bit about myself. You know, I've got 5 children. I had my first children twin boys at the age of 15, being in the local authority. Had ups and downs like most of us. I've got 4 boys, 1 girl. Some of my children, I've got educational health plans. You know, we're going back from statements. You know, I've been left, I've been right, I've been up, I've been down. I've had different careers. I've been in the fashion industry. I've been in the catering industry. I've traveled, I've done property. I've done a variety of things. However, I wasn't happy. So no matter how many clothes I was making or doing this, I found that I had this gift of energy to empower and inspire people on the grounds of, you know, everyone's been through something. And I decided to kind of strip everything back, find myself again, open, you know, when I went into this academic journey, it was just, I was just a little fish in a big pond, basically. And, you know, Flourish then came to mind through one of my lecturers. And I was telling him, you know, about this passion and all this pain, what I had. I thought, no, it's not actually pain. I can change this. I can help other women, because no matter what you've been through, you know, you can strive from it. And I thought, all that empowerment, I'm still, you know, standing strong like a pillar. I can help another woman, support them. Also, I went to London School of Business Finance. Sorry, 1 minute, homeschooling. Me and my daughter, I'm doing this. No. Please. Sorry about that. Right. Also, juggle of a woman. Also, London School of Business Finance. So I ended up doing a HND in 9 months, which usually takes about 2 years in academic. Through that, I ended up becoming an ambassador. I was also like one of the first people to actually get this HND from that particular organization and help save them, because the government kind of wanted to close them down, a few different politics. You can research it. That's on the internet. Channel 4 did like a documentary. So that's where another part of the empowerment came from. So London School of Business Finance brought me back in to their organization, thank you, to basically push the other students. Because what I feel, you could be climbing and you think, yeah, and then something goes, it could be a bill, it could be a bereavement, it could be a relationship, it could just be a variety of stuff. So I came up with this method, reading a lot of books, shadowing a lot of organization. And as you know, it's all about the mindset. So for me, some of the strategies what I take, yesterday was yesterday. As soon as I open my eye, the first thing I say is, I love me and today's going to be a phenomenal day, before I even look out the window. And then I get this pad, and it's not neat writing. I just kind of scribble it down. I am phenomenal. I'm going to have an amazing day. I am grateful, like this morning I put in my book, I am grateful for Flourish to give me this opportunity, because there was times with the coronavirus when it first started, I was on this, you know, when you're running and you think, yeah, I don't have to fight anymore. I'm getting there, I'm nearly there. And then boom. So I'd got all these bids. I had articles about me, and I had an event on the 27th of November. And it was also going to be like an achievement award, and Flourish was going to collaborate a little bit in that. And I was so grateful and overwhelmed. And then obvious, we couldn't have the event. Now, I'm only human. So this is why I brought out this. I'm bringing out a show next week called Talk the Talk. Yeah, I'm vibrant, but I have a bad day too. That knocked me down. I'd put this money into it. I'd, justify my situation. And then it's like, no, you're not doing it now. Flourish then was still interacting with me, still encouraging me. So grateful they gave me, a little bit of a sponsor. I was managed to get, this is one of my boards, and, they kept me going. They still believed in me. And, some days, like I said, I'd get up and I'd think, oh no, and then homeschooling as well. So it's like, okay, I'm doing my uni, I've got this far, I've got a child with an educational health plan, with emotional behavioural, plus he's at a teenage stage, you know, let's keep it real. We're in an urban environment. We've got the police knocking here. You got the school ringing you here. The teenager wants to do this and that and that and that. But then everyone's pointing his finger at the mum. The mum, the mum, the mum, the mum. I'm kind of known a bit of a veteran out there when it comes to kind of teenage boys as well. So other organisations started contacting me. This is how I got to collaborate with the lady what was just speaking before, Christina, you know, from the DWP. She was on one of the panels where I got invited to. That was safeguarding like young boys and counter lines, etc. So Pillar of Women do a variety of stuff. From we can help like with the marketing, helping empower you, inspiring you, helping you lobby people in professional ways, advising you, signposting you, because we believe we're not a shoe, we're not a product, we're not selling. Yours is not better than mine. We've all got the same objective, to help each other. So there's no competition. So we're all stakeholders. So I might meet someone on a panel and I might be like, well, that might not be right for me. Or I'll take that little bit, pass it on to somebody else. Let's share the love. And this is one of the reasons how we came up with the name Pillar. Because the more we're going into 2021 and a new era, what's happening? Girls are hating on each other. Yours is nicer than mine. I'm on the Instagram, blah, blah, blah. When's the last time you looked at another girl and said, you know what? Your hair looks nice. Or do you know what? I make cakes, you make cakes, but you know what? You live in Moston and I live in Wythenshawe. We can both collaborate or signpost each other. So that's why I thought we need to go back old school, because it takes a village. And the more we're a village, the more we can grow. And that's that. Like I said, we've all been through things. Some people might think, well, I've been through more. Well, everyone deals with things in different situations. We've got to just get all that pain and turn it into passion and try and put it back in the community. Because if you've been through something and you've obviously got through it, because obviously all these women on the panel now have got through it, there's at least you might think it's nothing, but guarantee there might be one sentence what you say, you might even save a life. And especially now what's going on in the world, people's state of mind. People look at me all the time and think, oh, Alicia's all right, dress well, head up high and shoulders back. It's common sense. I have a bad day. I got 5 children. One punches me doors, one swears, one don't listen. You got the teacher on the phone, your kid, you're this. You got your lecturer. Oh, Alicia, you know, and your assignment, you know, so we all have a bad day. So it's about, you know, my strategies might not work for someone or X, Y, and Z. So it's about collaborating from old school, new school, you know, Black, white, Asian, Chinese, as many women as we can, and bring it together and just help us get through, you know, going through the university. You know, look how many dropouts there is in university, especially by single women. Where is the support mechanism? You know, so I'm trying to, like this course and this time for me, it's not about just starting the time for me or starting a unicorn, sorry. It's about staying consistent. When you have that bad day, that bad day is going to go. So if you've got the women supporting you and inspiring you and pushing you, you're more likely going to complete that task, you know, at the end. So that's a bit about Pillar of Women, because I can go on for hours, motivating, inspiring. One of my things is I will believe, earn, and achieve. I am phenomenal. Look in the mirror every day in the eye and say, I am beautiful. I love me. I can, I will. Then you go outside and you're ready for the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And it says inspirational panel. Well, Oh my word, you are inspirational, and I'm just seeing all the love that you're getting on the chat. It's amazing. You just say how it is.
Yeah,
and
everyone's signing for Talk the Talk show. It starts next week. Talk the Talk. We're going to re-interviewing people. We've been contacted from America. We're going to go viral and make a movement.
And I love Power, Pillar of Women, POW. It's certainly packs a punch. I love it, absolutely love it. And your energy is just infectious. So thank you so much for kicking off the panel with an overview of what you've been up to. You've been absolutely fantastic, and I'm really pleased that you're working with us beyond the programme.
Grateful.
Yeah, thank you. Right then, who wants to follow that, hey? Kim, can I ask you to talk about Visit from the Stalk for us, please?
Yeah, I knew you were going to pick me. Oh my gosh, I can't. That was just amazing. That was amazing. That was, yeah.
Kim, I can, I will.
Okay. I've written some of mine down because I can also talk for hours and hours and hours, as Joe and Michaela very well know. I met these two probably 5 years ago, maybe, yeah, 4 or 5 years ago, when I was in a very different space to what I am now. I'm Kim, and I'm the CEO and founder of Visit from the Stalk CIC. We're a community interest company. We set up in 2014. After I finished uni, I started my business pretty much straight away. I moved to Salford. I went to the job centre 6 weeks after graduating with a first class honours degree in journalism, and said I want to start my own business. And luckily I was sent to Blue Orchid to go and do some business planning. But I started my business because my best friend had my godson at 18, and everywhere we went, we just felt that there was no support. I was her support network. She didn't have a mum, she didn't have a family. She was the daughter of a young parent, but her mum just didn't care. And so I went to all of her appointments, and to do that at 18 was a massive. And so I wanted to create a space that was really safe for parents to come to and talk to me, and just access the help that they needed. And it was originally for young parents, but now we're an organisation for all parents, because I've realised that if you're a parent and you don't have a support network, then you're just in the same situation as all the others. So you need that. You need that village, as I said. So Visit from the Stalk, we support parents across Greater Manchester to give themselves and their family the best start in life and to achieve more for themselves. So we do breastfeeding support, we do mental health support, we were running awareness campaigns, events, and peer support before COVID. When COVID happened, things changed for my business. I'd been running, just kind of winging it for 6 years, and we'd mainly focused on breastfeeding support, because that was where I felt the need was, and also because where the funding was, if I'm honest. And we created a project called Boobs, which would be open on breastfeeding, and we did peer support, and it was wonderful. Then when COVID happened, there was all these parents on Facebook saying, I can't get nappies, I can't get toiletries, I can't get formula milk, I can't take my 4 kids to the shop, I can't stand in a queue for hours, I need all this stuff. And so me and my business partner were just like, we need to change what we're doing, and we need to do something about this. We can't let kids starve. There's just no, and it seemed to be all over that there was a food response. So there was a massive food response. Loads of food banks popped up. The Manchester Council had an emergency response team. Salford Assist had an emergency response team. Everybody wanted to feed everybody apart from the babies. So they didn't, food banks and a donation model don't have baby food or formula milk, because they're not allowed to have formula milk because of breastfeeding guidelines. So we came at it from a different point of view, and we created Stalk Support. And Stalk Support delivers those baby essentials to parents' doors. We go out to the shops to buy them. So we got funded by We Love Manchester, we got funded by Forever Manchester, we got funded by Salford CVS. We just kind of had money thrown at us for this project. which was fantastic. And so we differentiated ourselves from the food banks by going out to the shops to buy stuff rather than relying on donations. And because we're breastfeeding trained, we can give information about formula milk that is safe to use. But for instance, like formula milk is all the same on the first milks, for example. So we're able to differentiate ourselves from food banks. So we work with professionals, we work with midwives, health visitors, early help teams, nurseries, schools, every organisation you can think of refers into our stock support service, and the demand has just grown and grown and grown and grown. And about halfway through lockdown, we realised that this was not really a COVID issue, and I just thought at the beginning it was just going to be emergency deliveries, and actually these parents were in real financial hardship. They're in crisis. And some of them are, in long-term crisis. They're in debt. They've had universal credit. They're really struggling on universal credit. They've lost their job, or they're on 80% furlough on minimum wage. Their mums who've had to give up the working because they've got a homeschool. It happened to so many people. Parents who couldn't live on just maternity pay. People who were just so isolated, just on all sorts of situations. If you name a situation, I've probably seen it in the last 10 months. It's just crazy. And then there was also people in the immigration system who had arrived in the country January, February, and their asylum claim was just stuck. And they're stuck living on £35 a week, and you only get £1 extra if you have a baby. How crazy is that? So we delivered to loads of people like that. So I've done a very brief history really, but for the last 6 years we've only delivered stuff in Salford, and Salford was like my baby. I know every inch of Salford. I've loved Salford to bits. And then this was the first time we stepped into Manchester, and it was like almost like an ocean of unknown. And actually North Manchester, so I live near Cheetham Hill, and so we're actually delivering two lots to Cheetham Hill, we're delivering lots to Harper Hay, we're delivering lots to Newton Heath, we're delivering lots to Moston. They're all places I've never been in my life, but I'm getting to understand the families that are in there, as well as like Longsight and Gorton or other places in Manchester that just need so much help. And yeah, so we are this year we're carrying on our stock support project because the need has just not gone away, and also we're starting to get back out to doing groups. Fingers crossed, I'm crossing everything. That we realised that our stock support clients who've been accessing nappies and stuff from us for however many months, they've been telling us they're so isolated. Mums who've had babies in lockdown have just not had the experience that they deserve at all. And so we want to create groups that bring those people together. I know Kate introduced herself earlier. I want to speak to you because Lockdown Village, Lockdown Baby Club sounds amazing, and I want to talk to you about that. That was interesting to me.
Thanks, Kim, that's amazing. And again, lots of love on the chat around what you do, and welcome to North Manchester. It's great to come out of Salford and you're kind of spreading the love elsewhere across Manchester, because it's from what people are saying in the chat, it's such a vital service that you're providing to the most vulnerable of families. So amazing, thank you.
And Kim lives on the North Manchester side, so it's a neat fit, really.
I do, yeah. I live in Salford, but actually, if you turn right out of my street, I'm in Cheetham Hill. So I'm definitely on the border. Yeah.
And great to see, some collaborations happening already with
Nick, it's Chris from DWP. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say thanks to Kim, because I've been doing some work with FC United. We set up the food bank since COVID hit. So we were doing quite a lot of work, and one of the things very early on that we picked up is exactly what Kim's saying, that people didn't recognise the need for support for young people with babies. And I actually gave Kim's details and Vincent the Stroke, and I know they were good enough to deliver stuff to FC United. So that they hadn't heard of you before, but that was really good. So it's really great to have you in Manchester. And again, if we can do anything with you, Kim, through my team, through my Troubled Families Early Help team as well, please let me know.
We work with the early help teams in Salford all the time, so yes, please do get in touch, and let's swap details.
Great.
yeah.
Fab, thank you. Nicole, hi. One Manchester, welcome.
Hi everyone. Can I just say how amazing it is to hear from everybody. You're all so inspirational, and I think generally when I come to things like this, I just feel this huge amount of imposter syndrome. But I think coming from, I grew up on one of the most deprived streets in the northeast. My mum had me really young. I grew up as one of 4 children, so I think just being in a space that feels really real, and I don't feel any kind of sense of imposter syndrome for once, so thank you so much for that. So my name's Nicole Hope, and I'm the place-based giving manager of a new charity called Step Up Manchester, which is focusing on the East Manchester wards of Ancoats and Beswick and Clayton and Openshaw. But I actually came to this role 4 months ago now, from the National Lottery Community Fund. So we funded Visit from the Stalk, and we funded the food hub at FC United as well. So it's good to feel like I know what's going on. So in my role at the National Lottery Community Fund, I was a funding officer and supported lots of different community groups to access funding, and kind of throughout my time working there, I was based in Manchester specifically, so worked across North, Central and South, and really sort of realised working there that there was this huge disparity between the applications that were coming in from the North and those that were coming in from the Central and South, and sort of looking at what we were funding. All of our funding seemed to be going into going into Central and South. It seemed like that's where all of the big charities were based. The charities that historically had received all of the funding could write a really strong funding application, and could write for days and days about the work that they did and the difference that they could make. But sort of coming in to deliver on a Reaching Communities programme, it was a new programme that had just started to work regionally, and so we stripped back the application process and started embedding ourselves in the community, and looking at ways we could support people to get over some of those barriers of writing an application, making it so that it's just a couple of questions that you answer and you can answer it in person rather than filling in forms for days and days, and making sure that it's not just the same organisations receiving funding all the time. But I guess looking at what was being funded in the North, it felt like not only were the applications sort of few and far between, but the applications that we did get through just weren't sort of at the same level as the ones coming from the other areas of Manchester. So really kind of it felt like the applications that were being funded in the North were from some of these bigger charities that were delivering the work in those areas, parachuting in, sucking up all the funding and then leaving again. So I thought that, you know, it's really important that we start funding applications in North and East Manchester, and how can we look to make that happen? What outreach and what support can we put in place to make that happen? So I started speaking to as many people as I could. I started trying to embed myself in the community a lot more, basing myself in community venues and doing drop-in sessions with people, and just really making myself as visible as possible as I could in the North, so that people knew if they were having problems applying for funding, they could just pick up the phone and spend as long as possible speaking to me. And it really started to work. And one of the groups that I actually ended up attending was an East Manchester place-based giving scheme community consultation, which was bringing together people from the local community to talk about any challenges that they faced and what this new project could do to support them. And that's now called Step Up, and where I work now. So that was sort of how I got involved working at Step Up. And Step Up, as I mentioned, it's a place-based giving scheme, which means to bring together businesses, philanthropists, people who want to make a difference in the community, whether that be voluntary sector or, you know, the council or other private or public sectors, and coordinating all of this support for people who have a good idea. How do you make a good idea happen if you've not got any experience of doing anything like that? So what we're trying to do with Step Up is offer one-to-one development support, connecting in with this huge variety of partners and making it a collaborative effort, because as everybody's been saying here, you need that village around you, you need that support system. So Step Up is to offer a kind of physical step up from the position that you might be in, unearthing new ideas for community projects, because not only is there less funding in the north and the east, but there aren't as many community projects based there. So, inspiring people to follow that idea or that thread that they've had for an idea for a new community project. How can you improve community health and well-being? Well, I've worked in this sector for such a long time, and I've got a good idea, and how can you actually make that happen? So that's sort of where Step Up came from, and we also want to support existing community projects in the area as well, to develop and to grow, so that we can get more funding into the local economy. It's so much about inspiring people to make something happen, but also about creating local opportunities for people to volunteer, for people to get employment doing exactly what it is they love to do, and just connecting them in with this big body of people that want to give back to the community. So that might be a business who really wants to improve their corporate social responsibility, by giving their staff some volunteer hours to improve people's skills in the local community. I've just seen a question there in the chat. Did I create Step Up? So no. One Manchester, which is a social housing provider, they sort of found a similar thing to what we were finding at the lottery, that a lot of the funding applications that were coming from central and south areas, and actually the east had a lot less community projects, had a lot less funding going into it, and they applied for a government scheme called Growing Place-Based Giving, and were awarded that funding. So it was £100,000 seed funding, and it was one of 6 place-based giving schemes that got established across the country. And place-based giving is really just bringing together in a collaborative effort lots of different bodies that want to give back. So yeah, like I mentioned, that could be businesses, philanthropists, residents, community groups, and just kind of creating this pot locally, that the decision making is made locally, and bringing it all back to this very central point where people are being supported by others on their doorstep. So that's us in a nutshell, really. But I guess where I kind of see Step Up going in the next couple of months, we are a very new charity, but we really want to get some new ideas on board, support some people to make their projects happen, working with other organisations like Flourish to provide one-to-one development support to people with a good idea in the community, and connecting people in with other sources of giving. So it doesn't have to just be money, it can be time, it can be resources, it can be funding or expertise, and just bringing it all together into this central place. And Step Up's role within that is to sort of broker that support system, really. So if you come to us and say, I've got a good idea but I'm not sure how to make it happen, we can say, well, there's a business that's based just around the corner from you, they're really keen on supporting local people, and these are the skills that they've got, these are the resources that they've got, let's link you up and make it happen. So that's us. I've noticed a few questions come in, but I haven't to see a lot of them.
Well, I'll agree with Nicole. Thank you so much for that. Well, I'll bring Sheila in, and then we'll answer some of the questions that are in the chat, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's great. We do Flourish always work with partners. We always look at what's available on the ground and make sure that we can make connections for you that will help you get to where you need to be. So it's good to have Nicole in the area and on board with what we're trying to achieve. Sheila from Yes.
Hello.
Thanks for waiting patiently there, Sheila.
Just turning out. If I was in the room, I might have just turned around and gone home by now, actually. on imposter syndrome basis, on the basis that I haven't done any of the things that the young ladies that are clearly motivated, inspirational and amazing who came before me. For a start, I'm old enough to be all of their mums, I think. Well, not all of them maybe at the same time, but yeah, never mind. My name is, as it says there, Sheila Sturgeon, and I joined Yes in October as their new CEO. I took the rather odd decision to move from the south of England to Manchester to be closer to my grandchildren in Wigan and Scotland in the middle of kind of a pandemic, so I haven't seen them at all anyway. So, but you know, left my husband behind, he's now in Birmingham. We've not split up, but we're not quite sure we're together either. But other than that, everything's great. Yes is an amazing little organisation, and I can't believe that I was given the opportunity to lead it. For 7 years, it has supported people who live on some of the most disadvantaged and deprived areas, not just in Manchester, but in the entire country, on Newton Heath, on Collyhurst, and up in some areas of Blakely, where and it's helped people achieve their ambitions and get into jobs, just as simple as that, helping them to get into work. It does that in lots of different ways, and I'm not going to go through them all here because I'm really conscious that we're running out of time. But what I am going to say is, Alicia, I want you to talk to some of our team about Pillar of Women, because I think you could probably offer support to some of the people who we work with.
And just sorry to cut you, I can't wait to liaise with you, because Yes has supported Pillar of Women from the beginning in Newton Heath.
Okay, brilliant. We'll talk another time. That's brilliant. Yeah. Kim, I love what you're doing. We already work with food banks. So many of the people that come to us aren't working for lots and lots of different reasons that are often nothing to do with their ability to do a job. It could be that they owe money. It could be that they can't afford food. Their housing is awful, their relationship is breaking down. So we often make referrals to other organisations. So Kim, we need to know about you because we deal with the people that you want to look to work with too. And Nicole, that's clearly something that we can work together on as well. However, very briefly, I am not an entrepreneur in the true sense of the word. I've not set up a business. I take what people are already running and run away with it and hopefully make it bigger and better and more amazing than it already is. I've been involved in the charity and social enterprise sector and the public sector for about 30 years on and off. Along the way, I've run charities, I've run training providers, I've been a local government officer, and my most recent job was a senior manager in the Department for Education. My personal passion, however, is all about equality. I am a proud feminist. I know some people don't like that word, but I bloody love it. I think it's an amazing word and it says exactly what I feel I am. I genuinely believe that society is better when women are at the table. And I'd just like to say, New Zealand people, I don't need to say more. I can't wait for 5 o'clock this afternoon, by the way, to watch Kamala Harris inauguration, first female vice president in the most powerful nation in the world. I just find that so exciting. And it was suggested to me by Nicola when we were talking about this that I could give people some tips. So I'm going to give you my top tips that I've shared with people that I've mentored over the years. Women limit themselves, and we all do it, except Alicia, apparently. We want to be invited rather than just taking our place at the table. As a really good example of that, generally speaking, women apply for the job below the one they want and are capable of doing in the hope of being promoted. Whereas a man will apply for what they know they can do and they'll get it because they'll sell themselves. So you're already all taking the first step by being here. And my tips are: believe in yourself, ask for what you want or need, because the answer is only going to be yes or no and neither hurt for you. Expect setbacks, but stick to your plan. And by the way, failure to plan is planning to fail. And take your seat at the table and be brave. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Sheila. Well, a huge warm welcome to North Manchester.
She goes.
You'll never be lonely.
Even in lockdown, apparently.
Pardon?
I'm set in lockdown, sitting in my flat in Ancoats all on my own.
Oh, I know. Well, yeah, you can get some love online through us.
Thank you. I love love.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm a bid writer. I'm saying that.
Yeah, great, good. I'm a big reader. That's what's keeping me sane at the moment. But yeah, thank you for that. Brilliant. Everyone who spoke then there's just so much love on the chat. So thank you. It's great to have so many like-minded women in one virtual room who share each other. I think we've got a shared sense of value there and values. So yeah, thank you. Has anybody got any questions for the panel before we've got about 5 minutes or so? Or is there anything the panel wanted to add in terms of top tips or things that you want to share with the rest of the group?
Can I just add something, what I left out with Pillar of Women as well, what we do?
Sure.
Also, just quick on it, I'm going to go on it too much. We've also got a bit where we specifically got a part for Black, African, Caribbean Black women. And with the research, we found that Black ethnic women, we've got the same needs of every woman, but then there's a different part as well. Not going to get into it too much. We all know with the Black Lives Matters and the less Black women in hierarchy positions. So we've got the struggles as a woman and obviously our ethnicity. Sometimes, you know, the way we come across. Some different cultures can say we're passive aggressive. So we help kind of with all that kind of stuff. I'm involved with a lot of ethnic organizations, especially if you've got like teenagers and getting your point across with the school and you feel a bit discriminated, etc., etc. So we got you when it comes to that as well. That's a big part of obvious Pillar of Women. The reason why I decided not to do BME, Black Ethnic Minority Pillar of Women, because at the end of the day, before my colour, I'm a woman. And then everything else, single parent, all these other labels, what, you know, you get put on you. I'm Alicia and I'm a woman. So that's why it's Pillar of Women and everything is then a spider from it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alicia. That's really helpful. And yeah, absolutely. I think we work so closely as well with colleagues there's a BME social enterprise network it's run by Atia Chowdhury and Dio, and they're a fantastic group of women. Honestly, they get involved they've supported us on our mentorathons. They're fantastic. So we can connect you in with that as well. Fab.
I think Kim had got something.
Kim, do you want to give us some of your top tips?
Yeah, so I wrote down my top tips was differentiate yourself. So even if you've got a similar service to other people, I gave the thing of baby banks or food banks earlier. If you can think of something, how you would differentiate yourself in terms of the way you do the service or the ethics of the service, or, you know, even being a social enterprise is a differentiator. But just think about how you can differentiate yourself, because then when you write funding bids, that puts you ahead of people. When you bid for contracts, that puts you ahead of people. When you're trading, that puts you ahead of people because that could be your marketing point. I would say make sure it solves the problem. I know that's cliche, but when I started my business, my magazine didn't solve the problem for young parents. I thought it would, but it didn't. Whereas the project we're doing now, Stalk Support, solves the immediate problem of those babies not having food, those kids not having anything. But then that gives us the lead in to actually doing other work with them. And that's the first time that I've realised that. But be adaptable to the need, be flexible around, just be open to changing and adapting to what you do, because it's not you're doing it wrong, but actually there's always room for improvement. And also surround yourself with people who can help, recognize what you can't do and ask for help from other people, outsource, ask for stuff for free, say that you're a non-profit, use those words, non-profit, and people will be willing to help you, like more than just if you're a normal business. It's just amazing, those words. But also don't expect to have things for free as well, expect to pay for other people's services. The moment I realized that actually if you pay other people, you get so much more back from them, and they'd be willing to help you. Even if you pay them a little bit, they'd be willing to give you extra hours. So yeah, those are my top tips.
Great, thanks Kim, and hopefully the programme that we deliver over the coming months will sort of help people with stuff like that, understanding really what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and who are your customers and who are your beneficiaries and all of that kind of stuff. And we're you know, we're more than happy to support people on that. I'm just going to Nicole's got probably 1 or 2 tips, but I just want to bring in Phyllis with a question.
Hi everyone, thanks for giving me a go. It's such a good feeling because I wasn't feeling motivated last 20 days, you know, and this is just came on exactly, you know, couldn't be in a better time than this. So it's really inspirational. On the other hand, as I mentioned before, maybe not everyone's seen it. I'm studying in university in languages section, studying Spanish language, and I'm originally Turkish, but I live in the country almost 11 years. So it is teaching English for non-English speakers. So I am thinking something to, no, my name is like this. Sorry, I'll just put it on chat. Phyllis. It's like all the name, right, really, but in different pronunciation. Yeah, my question is, because I don't really know where to stand in this project really, but I want to help people who is struggling to communicate in this country, especially migrated people to the country. Like you mentioned, they got babies, but they just came here and they don't know how to speak, how to communicate or find a place in the community, especially if they are from a different cultural background. It's really, I mean, when I say it's religious, really religious difference. So as you know, Turkish people are 99% Muslim, but it's a bit of between East and West. So we got a bit of mixture really in Turkey. So I got a bit of both, and I already faced myself with this problem at the very beginning of my journey in England. I got teaching assistant level 2 certificate as well before my study. So I was working in Northwest primary schools and high schools as a teaching assistant, but at the very beginning I faced discrimination. So I don't really like working in schools here. That's why I really focus people who is struggling and who is looking for really help to appreciate my help. So I don't know who to combine with and my knowledge. I really want to help people, but I think it will be a good idea to maybe find a place where they can show their abilities, get rid of that language barrier with me. Then they can start doing something in here rather than just being in the house with a baby or children, you know. Especially they are very close community, Muslim people. So it's really hard to open them up, you know, to find a place for themselves in the community really. So I don't know, it's just an idea. I don't know who to go with, who to speak to about this, but it is just an idea that I want to put in the middle, and then maybe you can just approach to me and maybe we can find something about that.
Yeah, thank you for telling us kind of where you're at and where you want to go and what you're perceiving as barriers. But I think the programme will very much respond to that and help you formulate a plan around who to best work with. We can network you into organisations, and we can really connect you into people to get you that support to take your idea forward. And I'm so sorry to hear you had the experience you had within the education system in this country. I think it's just disgraceful, really.
When I was working in the same classroom, you know, you're coming to the morning session. First time you see people, they don't even say good morning to you. It happened many times in different schools, so it was just so strange. When I went to the reception and asked them, what is happening? Something happened and I have no idea. They said, no, it's normal, you will get used to it. Yeah. So I don't like this answer. I don't think it should be like that. There are lots of good people out there as well.
Absolutely, Felice. And I was going to say, we've actually got a lot of people across our networks for whom English is a second language, or they've gone down the routes of teaching or teaching ESOL like you have. So I'm keen over the coming year to connect others. There's a lady called Wade on the call who also is trained in ESOL, and there are other women in other parts of Manchester. So we can certainly put you in touch with peers, and we can certainly explore this as part of some of the challenges that people face in trying to progress what they're doing. I'm going to have to call time, unfortunately, on our panel, only because, as Jo knows, we've got a final session, and some people are already having to drop out. We just want to catch hold of people before we have to wrap up, so that more people get a chance to have a chat and you get to explore some wider conversations. Sorry, Felice.
I was just last sentence. I was trying to break my own shell, coming out of this fear of not be able to talk with your own voice.
Yes.
So it took me 10 years to pass that stage. Now I started talking to people. Good. It was very hard for me to break that problem. And
well, we look forward to helping you unleash your talents and potential now, and you've certainly got some great ideas and some great skills and experience that both in your area just outside of North Manchester and within North Manchester there's a need for. So we'll support with that, and we've got all sorts of links across Lancashire as well that will help you too. So we will get on with supporting that as we go. I've
got different abilities as well, but I will add them later on.
Brilliant. Thank you, Felice. I just wanted to butt in, if that's all right, Jo, unless there's anything else you've got to add or wrap up from
the session. I'm conscious of time, and yes,
we'll that's brilliant. No, and thank you. I mean, we aren't winging it. We've been doing this for years and we know what we're doing, but we're all winging it at the moment through the pandemic, and rushing things together, adapting constantly, and we weren't sure how this program was going to go, or B, how whether we'd find the women that we wanted to find, and the council who were backing this program asked us to pause and hold off running this because the first lockdown and the first wave of things that kicked off, the council felt a program like this wouldn't work just yet, or it couldn't run, but we were very keen to make sure this happened as soon as possible. And so A, we're very pleased that the time is now. B, it does kind of feel like the stars are aligning a little bit, and we're thrilled to have found such a great and diverse of women to join us. I think Lady joined us, and I would ask her to pop us on
motivation over Christmas. I think the break was really long. Oops. Well, obviously it's weird because I haven't for Christmas. I haven't now because of coronavirus and traveling restrictions. So especially because it's now completely stopped traveling from you.
There we go. People don't realise, do they? You can hear everything they say. So, right. So I was just going to move into the next bit, really. As I say, we can't wait to get going with the programme, which we will email people a little bit more information about. We'll share links about, and so on and so forth. It's great that certain connections have started already, that the women on the panel and other people in kind of infrastructure roles will continue to kind of be involved around the edges, and we will connect with more people as we go. But certainly for the last session today, we're really keen to get you in groups to kind of get to know a few people a little bit more, and to explore these questions if we can. I'm going to try and copy these. I'll have to stop sharing it to do that, but I will copy and paste these questions into the chat in a second. But in essence, what we're asking people to do, hello, screen sharing has stopped. That's okay. So I'm going to I've stopped that for now, just to pop these questions in the chat so that you can consider them. We're going to go into 4 little breakouts. Jo will be in one, I will be in one, Alicia will be in one, and I've put Nicole, I hope you don't mind, in the other, just because we've all got experience of sort of facilitating in groups to a point. And I'm just going to leave you to it, really, to find out a little bit about who's who in your breakout so that you can connect with a few other people, have a think about what's brought you to the programme, and what are the social challenges that you're trying to address. A big part of this programme is that we've got a real opportunity to support people in North Manchester and the organisations that operate there, and organisations that have strengths to add and complement what's going on there, to you know, grow and evolve a thriving social economy in North Manchester, but also help support various types of social change, regeneration and anything else. But we're really keen to want to focus our energy on what's going to have the most impact. And in order to do that, if we better understand what are the sticky and persistent challenges that kind of operate or that are kind of immovable or feel a bit immovable in North Manchester, and how can we work together to start to address some of those, or if we're still at the idea stages of evolving our ventures, by understanding community needs, we might be able to adapt products and services, or make connections that tackle challenges and issues now. So in the chat, I've just put those points, and I would ask certainly me, Joe, Alicia and Nicole, if you can just glance over those. It's really about getting the chance to get together, have a chat, see who's who, and what are the key priorities really for you in terms of creating social change, and where we focus our energies over the next year. Because, you know, it's a pressurized time. Energy levels wax and wane because of the changes that are going on and the commitments that we've all got. And are there any wider needs and considerations, or things that could come back to bite us, or things we need to be aware of if we're running a programme like this? So wherever your conversations take you, just let those unfold. I would say, you know, please do make space for everybody to sort of comment, have their thoughts and views, and get a chance for a chat.